I'm a Palestinian, but all that means is I don't look at you as an audience. I like to think of you all as potential hostages.
I used to live in England. I loved England so much. I love Europe so much because in Europe they hate you because you're an American way before they notice your skin color.
I actually do a lot of Arab audiences, so it's kind of nice to have an audience like you that isn't handcuffed, hooded, and shackled. Remember, I was on the flight on LL. Really neat airplane. I had to get off, go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. Somebody was in it, but it didn't say occupied. The disputed toiletry area.
Dude, isn't this fundamentally the world's most obsessive-compulsive book club? They're just the 5 books that the Jews read over and over and over again.
What's his name? Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. Remember he was going to blow up the plane with his shoes? They promised him 72 virgins. Nah, I'm Arab. We read from right to left. It's one virgin. She's 72 years old. And we promise her to everybody, okay?
Nice. Aaron Freeman, Ray Hanania. Nice to see you guys.
Brother, thank you.
Nice. All right, so how does this happen? One guy says, you know what, I think it'd be really funny if we did this. You're Jewish, I'm Palestinian, let's do a bit.
He had me on a leash in some cell, and he was just asking me that very thing, wasn't he?
Well, he was a prisoner in Guantanamo. I was working for the
I thought
army.
it was fetish night you were talking about.
I volunteered for the pantyhose, though. He didn't have to force me to put it on. I loved it. It was great.
But tell people what you're doing. Like, this tour is it's an interesting idea for a stand-up comedy
This
tour.
is, in fact, the Israeli-Palestinian Comedy Tour, which we did a first tour in January. We believe it was the first time Israeli, Palestinian, and Jewish comics had ever been on the same bill in Israel.
Because you'll see Arabs and Jews together. You won't see Israelis and Palestinians. Unless they're beating the crap out of each other.
Right, yeah, totally.
And in Israel, we call the show the Israeli-Palestinian Comedy Tour. In Canada and the U.S., we call it 3 Jews and an Arab. In the Arab world, we call it Ray Hanania and the 3 hostages. Otherwise, they won't let us tour.
When you go and do these shows, in that part of the world, understanding the way we all see it on television,
Right.
What's it like?
The truth is, we did 4 shows in Jerusalem, and they were completely sold out, packed to the gills. It was like uncomfortable with us complaining about it.
FBI agents, Shin Bet.
That's right.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police even made it there.
Just hanging around, right?
Well, then Roy Thompson, a third of the tickets have been bought by the various security services. Yeah. No, the reaction in Israel was phenomenal. It was really astonishing.
And the crowd is split. It's diverse.
It's mixed.
It's diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, you get some Palestinians who the Israelis allow out of detention, you know. But, you know, the real key is that humor is very human. I mean, the serious side to this is... There is no serious side. No, the serious side is that humor is probably the only way we're going to be able to talk to Israelis and Palestinians. Because this conflict's been going on for 50 years. There's a lot of tragedy. There's a lot of suffering. Humor is the best way to do it.
What kind of material is it? Do you do stuff specific to this, to what's happening politically?
Yeah.
If it's news today, it's comedy tonight.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. We don't write the jokes. We just vote for them like everybody else. You know.
I mean,
a little self-deprecating, a little political, a little culture, social satire.
Of course, you know, the trick of anything. I mean, you know, Ray can make, because he's Palestinian, Ray can make fun mercilessly of Palestinians, and me and Yisrael and Charlie, because we're Jewish, we can make fun mercilessly of Palestinians.
Right. Yeah.
So,
do you get to go on stage and say, "Man, I hope I don't bomb tonight"? Like,
there you go. You know, that may have been the first joke I ever used, but no, I haven't used it.
Well, actually, the 3 Jews, we have a lot of fights amongst ourselves about which one of us gets to turn Ray in.
Oh, nice.
No, that's 4. That includes my wife arguing with them, too.
Do you do different material there as opposed to here? Is it received differently?
Aaron and I have done comedy in Chicago, all over the United States. In January, that was the first time we brought it to Israeli comedians. They joined us over there. We did the comedy there. We're going to do the same stuff here in Toronto. And believe it or not, the majority of Israelis and Palestinians are not the way we think they are. They're not, you know, bad people. They're good people.
At least Israelis are.
I'm going to beat the crap. Your other buddies aren't here to protect you. I'm going to point out you're black when I'm at the airport.
You got to think, though, quite seriously, being a black guy going through the airport's got to be a lot more fun when you're going with an Arab. Right? You're like,
that's true.
Not on me.
Look at us. Which one of us would you stop, okay?
When we go to the West Bank, we just strap right to the hood.
In the post 9/11 world, has it been different being a comic, being an Arab comic?
I've had people come up to me and say weird things, like the lady who came up to me and said, "I can't believe you abandoned your Christian faith to become an Arab."
But it's so weird, because Ray, but actually it's interesting because Ray is a Palestinian Christian, which means that the Palestinian Muslims hate him, and he's very moderate, so all the activists hate him.
I'm like a non-Muslim Muslim, so when I go to paradise, they're not going to give me 72 virgins. I'm going to get the videotape.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's fair.
I was in London, England, at the Comedy Store watching a guy do a routine about a serial killer. He related it to what was going on in England at the time, and there was a woman in the audience started crying. And other people boo too soon, and they could not deal with what happened because, we can tell jokes from afar in North America and go, well, this is the news. But there, if you do a joke about a suicide bombing, it happened in that place.
It's so funny because while we were there in January, there was a suicide bombing. One of the first suicide bombings in a lot. Well, the first one that had been in Israel for maybe a year. And we kept making the jokes.
We talked about it. We thought, now what do we do? Do we keep doing it? Do we go on? Or we decide to go on? And I'll tell you what, the audiences want it. Because the worst thing you can do is let a terrorist, Arab, Jewish, whatever, dictate your life, tell you what you can't do, that you can't smile, you can't laugh. I'm not going to let them do that. I don't like any of that stuff. And I think there are a lot of good people in the Arab community, and maybe I'll run into a few in the Jewish community. And
a lot of people, in the Middle East are very critical of terrorists, and they hate the terrorists, and they can't stand the terrorists. And I always say, don't talk about my president that way. Because really,
we find a little common ground.
That's true. Everybody hates George.
Yeah.
It really is
what an easy target. What an easy target.
Well, he did say he wanted to unite rather than divide.
It is true.
He did it that way. And now I want to know from each of you, what is the one joke that when you're on that stage and you're, in the Middle East and you're about to do the joke, you're not sure how it's going to go? What's your joke?
Well, when I show my penis is really, I'm never quite positive.
Wait a minute, he is not Jewish.
And when I show mine and put him to shame. Now, I'll get up there and I'll say, Andy Warhol said everybody gets 15 minutes of fame, Palestinians get 15 minutes of fuse.
Now, how does that go over?
Well, just the way I wanted out to call the Royal, what is it, the CC? Is that
CC.
I don't want to get it wrong.
Do you have a joke that you do like that?
I don't know.
You nail it every night, right?
Well, no. The only defense that we ever have is being fearless. So you try to go out and say the most offensive things you can at any given time because it's your only defense.
What's your most offensive joke then?
Well, my penis thing is really a thing.
You really don't want to tell people it's offensive. You don't want to tell people it's offensive. You want to say it's nice.
Intimidating is what we really prefer to say.
I don't think the jokes are offensive, though. I think the jokes, we don't make fun of killing, suicide, bombing, suffering. What we make fun of is the logic.
The bombers and
the things that drive people to do that stuff. That's fair game, and the worst thing to do is let somebody do something and run from it. Don't run from it. Grab it. Even the worst joke. I'd rather make a joke about something serious and get people to stop and not react in a bad way.
Nice to see you, man.
Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you. Well, if you want to come on the hour, we'll be right back.